we've got the truck home now. We dropped the trailer in the road like everybody likes to see. And this thing's on 18%. So my buddy gave me some, his old, this is what he used with, for his pipe stakes. He just had some C-channel made up with some little tabs that would stop it from falling down through the pocket the whole way. So that's what I'm going to use to build the bracket for the toolbox. And then I'm going to build another little bracket like that up there. And I think what I'll do is I'll put the, I'm gonna remove the ladder. We're not going to run with the ladder anymore because we got one of those V-boards. And honestly, we just never really use it. I'm going to build a bracket coming out here, and we're going to set the air conditioner kind of down in the section where the chain is. And then I'll just have to come down here. I'll have to cut off these old brackets where I welded them. I can't believe this broke below here. Like, they just snapped off. And the toolbox isn't even that heavy. So anyways, I'll have to move this chain, cut these off. I'm going to cut the new pieces up and build me some heavier duty C-channel. Alright, so we got the legs for the toolbox cut. And now we'll cut some side supports for it. Well, there's the finished product, other than have to paint underneath. It's pretty wet outside, so it's probably going to take a minute for this stuff to dry. Then I'll flip it over and I'll paint it underneath. And like I said, it's raining, so we probably won't get to put these on today. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the air conditioning mounts. So here's the old one compared to the new one, and you can see that isn't really as heavy duty as that. So I've got the old ones off. I've got everything cleaned up, and then what I'll do is I'll hold them up here because I can't stretch my 220 out here. I don't have 220 out here. Normally I disconnect my dryer and then hook another wire into it. So I'm just going to hold the brackets up here. I'm going to tack it off of 110, and then I'll disconnect these bars that we put on there last time, and then we'll actually carry it to the garage and weld them up and then bring them back out and bolt them back up. Alright, we got it tacked on there. Just test fit in the box. Making sure everything's good. Take it to the garage, we'll weld it up for real. And then we'll bolt all this back on. Oh, and then the AC is 32 inches wide. So if I put it down here like I planned on, it's going to get into the chains. So what I'll probably do is mount it at the very top of the headache rack. That way my chains aren't beating the AC to death. So that's the plan for now. Let me get this unbolted. We'll get it welded up. We'll have to repaint where we weld, and then we'll be good to go. All right, good morning. Day 2. We've got the toolbox on last night. We did taught Nate a little welding. He did some welding on this, so if it falls off, it's his fault. But the toolbox is on. It feels sturdier than it did before. Last time it had some flex with this little bitty angle that they had. But now we're going to do the mounting of the outside AC unit. It's going to have to go on top of this rack. So I'm going to have to fix up some brackets for that. So let me get to work. I'll show you guys what we end up with. Alright, so this is what I've come up with. So basically, I'm going to take more of that C channel that I had. And my initial thought was bolting it to the rack like this, and then running the other piece like this. But that was going, oh, actually it was going to be like this. But the air conditioner's too wide to run it like that, because this was going to be, my plan was this was going to be cut off flush here. And then when I flip this around, here, I'll show you in the garage, hold on. Hopefully it's not too dark in here. So originally, I thought to run this flat on top of the headache rack, and then I was going to run a piece like this to go down the headache rack, and this piece was going to be bolted to the headache rack. That way I had lots of welding room all the way around. It was touching all the way around like that. Problem is there isn't enough room between the headache rack and the truck for the air conditioner to fit. So I didn't want to flip this over like this, because then the feet wouldn't sit on it right. Well, then I went and got the feet, which I ended up ordering these feet extra. These didn't come with the air conditioner. I think these were an extra $20, and it's anti-vibration blocks. They're solid rubber. Basically, you mount them to the feet like that. So basically what I've done is I put all the feet on, and then I set them down inside this channel like this. That way, now I can stick this piece on top of the headache rack. I don't have to weld this piece to this now. Now I can step this piece back here somewhere, and then it gives me plenty of room to weld. And then the air conditioner will just set down inside of this C channel. We'll bolt this to the headache rack, and that should be good. All right, pieces are done and welded up. We just got to wait on them to cool, and we're going to throw some spray paint on them. There's some of the welds if some of you know-it-alls want to see. It's not perfect, but I don't weld every day. I got to clean the inside of this still. I kind of messed up on this back piece, so I had to do a second pass on it, but I'm 100% confident in this. So I'm going to let this cool down. Maybe we'll have Nate spray paint it. We got some scrap metal left over. We're going to let him clean up and practice his beads on. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get that thing up there. It's alright, it's going to be crooked. Alright, so you want me to hold this? Yeah, I can go there. Oh, my back. Okay. We'll have him that. And then I can run to the other side. And then you can crawl up, walk up these steps. Grab it. Got it? And then we can just set it up on top.
Here, stand right here, Dad, on this side. Make sure it doesn't fall this way.
On what side?
Right there. Make sure it doesn't fall back.
All right, there it is. I like it. Fancy. Heck yeah, we got enough airflow between that and the truck. All right, so now we've moved to the inside. Hopefully you guys can see it because it's kind of dark in here. These lights don't really put out too much. So my plan was, I'm on the top bunk right now. I was going to put this hard up against the top of the roof, but it comes with this bracket here that you have to mount. Basically, I'm going to have to leave enough room on this bracket that I could push that AC unit up, and then it'll slide down onto these, and then there's some plastic pieces that snap into those. So I measured this. This basically slides into, let me flip this around. It slides into these slots here, and then there's some little nipples down here that snap into this, and that's what keeps that on the wall. So basically I measured this, and I added a little bit. That way that'll give us room to push it in and then click it down. Now what I need to do, it comes with the copper lines that I've watched a few videos on this. They say just to be really careful when you bend this out and straighten them up that you don't pinch these copper tubes. And then we've got the drain line here, and then it came with this electrical wire here. So now what I have to do is hook these electrical lines up. I'll get this bracket mounted, and then I'll kind of eyeball. I'll have to drill a hole. I bought a hole saw set. I'll drill my hole, and then I'll go outside and look, and then I'll probably do the hole saw hole from maybe the outside. That hole saw is not going to like this fabric. It's going to try to grab this fabric and rip this fabric to death. So what I'll probably do, what I used to do when I did DirecTV is, like, if we would have to drill through your floor, you can cut an X in the carpet on the floor and then run your drill bit down through. Because if you didn't do that and we drilled through your carpet, it would suck up all the fibers of your carpet. Ask me how I know, because I've done it a few times. So anyways, I need to figure out where these electrical lines hook up, and then I'll get this bracket mounted. I'll be sure that it's going to sit on the bracket properly, and then we'll drill our hole here. All right, so we got the wires hooked up. See if I can turn a flashlight on here. Basically, you open this front cover here. This is the front. Yours might be different. You open this up, and it's got some little wire protectors. You got to take the covers off over here. And then the instructions on the wiring here are right here. Now, the colors don't match the wires that they gave me. The first one was supposed to be red, which is what I had. It said the second one was blue or black. I had the blue or black. And then the third one was supposed to be yellow. There is no yellow, so I'm assuming they mean white. And then the last one was supposed to be yellow or green, so I hooked the yellow or green up on the last one. And you can see that that's what they have on their side. So anyways, I'm going to put these covers back on. I guess I should tell you guys the whole reason I went with this unit that I went with. It's made by Home. I bought it off of Amazon for $700, I think, and I got the 4 or 5 year warranty on it. Let me see what I paid for this thing, so I'm not lying to you guys. It is let me see, order details, $709. I guess with tax it was $766, and then I bought the extended warranty for like 4 or 5 years. So, but the reason I went with this model here was because it had the smallest inside unit I could find. So that's the reason I went with this, because I didn't want something big, bulky in here. I guess you can see we got the inside piece mounted. The screws were able to lock into something on the top, not so much on the bottom, because I guess the screws aren't really long enough. But I think that'll be okay. I don't know if the screws went all the way through and they're sticking out of the back now. Maybe they are. I might have to take a little dab of caulk on the back, and maybe they barely caught. Anyways, so I've got the wires hooked up now. So now I haven't even test fitted up here. I want to take this seatbelt piece off. So I got to go find one of my star bits. We'll get this seatbelt piece off and out of here. That way it's not in the way. Actually, maybe I could just push it up out of the way when I stick the unit up here. We'll slide and lock it down, make sure everything's good. And then, like I said, we'll do our hole going to the outside. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. Now I can bend these lines out, and we'll get our hole popped. Well, that sounded wrong. We'll get our hole drilled. All right, so it comes with this ring. to where after you drill a hole in your wall, you put this into the hole to try to make it look nice, right? Well, I just got done buying these for a different project. So what I'm gonna do now is we'll match up this this ring with one of these. This ended up being, I want to say it was like 150 bucks for this 17-piece hole saw set. I bought it for my Mustang. I had to make some holes for some stuff for my turbos for my Mustang. Maybe I should just take this thing out of here. I thought I could open it up in there. Alright, so we'll go into here. It's got a decent amount. I needed one with at least a 4-inch. So it took me a while to find a good one that was at least a 4-inch. But we should be able to match this up, which it looks like we just found it. I mean, that fits perfect. So that's a 2 9/16. So I've drilled my hole through the back. I haven't even looked yet. Okay, it's way up there in that little weird thing. So I'll come on the outside now and drill it into there, and I'll stop when I hit that carpet stuff, and then I'll just cut that out with a razor blade so it doesn't try to suck all that fabric up into these teeth. So let's do that. All right, so we got the hole in up there now. Now I can pass all those wires and that copper tubing out. And then, actually it comes with this plastic sleeve too. I can't forget this plastic sleeve. I guess I could put that on afterwards. Stick this plastic sleeve in there. You cut it to length depending on these lines. And then this will click into this. See if I can do this one-handed. Like that. And then I guess it looks like this comes apart, and I might be able to stick a screw through that. And then it came with some type of putty, like a waterproofing putty. I think it's in this other seat over here. Let me see here. Yeah, it came with this putty. Sealing clay. And I take it you just take this clay and you kind of pack it in the hole around everything. And then I'll stick this ring on there, and I'll probably caulk this ring on there too. So let me get these wires passed through. All right, so that's what it looks like with the ring on it. Let me see if I can get you guys a closer look. Now I haven't used the clay yet because I still have to bend that copper pipe around, and I don't want to be breaking the seal until I'm completely done. When I'm done, I'll pull that ring back. I'll putty it all up really good, and then we'll put the ring back. Now also I want to mention, this is all the copper hose tubing it came with. You'll probably want to cut these shorter, get a flaring tool, re-flare them, and put the fittings back on. But the way I look at it is this might not be permanent for this truck. If something happens to this truck and I buy another truck, I sell this, the engine blows up or whatever, I will pull this AC off of here, and yeah, I'll probably put this in like in my shop or something, so it won't be, I don't plan on moving this to another truck. Or maybe I will. If I buy another truck and it doesn't have an APU, I'll move this APU and this air conditioner over. So that's the plan. So let me figure out this wiring. I'll probably just keep all of this stuff coiled up. I don't know if that's going to be bad. I'm sure all the experts in the comments will let me know. But I just plan on basically leaving everything full length, zippy tying it up, and maybe zippy tying it to the back of this and then hooking it up. All right, so we've got our lines hooked up now. We've got our inside unit to outside unit hooked up. All we have left now is I have to run power from, so what I'm probably gonna do is, we still have a little black, I think it's gray. It's a plastic box that was mounted on the outside of this APU. where the on-off switch used to be, the one that we moved into the cab. So I think I'm going to run up to Home Depot or Lowe's and get a breaker. I want to put a breaker in that box. I'll run a wire from the power from the APU to a breaker into that box, and then from that box we'll run it up and it will run into this hole here and then hook into this whole unit here. So that is the next step. Basically all I did was take this extra tubing and a hose and I zippy tied it to the back cage here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that or not. And then I have it came with more drain line. I might connect a little more drain line to it and maybe run it down a little further, but that's not a big deal right now. And then I need to do the now that all the lines and the wires are set, now I can pull that back and put all that clay in there. So I'll probably stick the cover back on this, clay that, and then I'll run to Home Depot or Lowe's. All right, so we've got that all sealed up. I used caulking underneath of this. I filled it all up and then pushed it down, and what squirted out I smoothed around with my finger. And then this right here is the clay that it came with. So now we go to Lowe's. All right, guys, it's the next morning. So we've got our wire. I already had that left over. I didn't have to buy it, or else that would have been like $1 million right now. So we got our box. This is the only box I could really find, but it's not an exterior box. But my thought process was we were going to fit this box inside of the box that we had hanging on the side here. I don't know what I've done with it. I think it might be inside. Anyways, this box is too big to fit inside that box. So then I was like, well, I'll just take the guts out of this thing and then I'll modify that box. And I'm like, you know what? Forget all that. We're just going to put this box inside the truck and then run the wire back out and then up to the AP or the air conditioner. So that's what we're working on right now. I miscounted my bolts yesterday, so I went and got more bolts for that yesterday. That's all bolted down. Everything's tightened up. It looks like the system comes pre-charged, but what you're supposed to do is get everything hooked up, hook a vacuum pump up to it, and then they say for like 15 minutes. Let it sit for a little bit, make sure you don't have a leak. If they don't have a leak, there's a valve that you release, and that releases the Freon through the lines and into the units. So that's nice. I don't have to pay an air conditioning company to come out here to charge this thing. So it rained last night. Looks like our I guess I could get inside the truck and actually see, but I'm pretty sure that held up. All right, let me get this power run. Originally I was going to run this power from the original source, but the way that it connects down here, it doesn't give you room to hook up another wire. So you've got this lug right here, and then you've got another lug way up in there. So what I've done is I'm just going to tie into the wire that we already have running in there that runs the outlets. I'm going to tie into these lines, and then we're just probably going to mount this box up above this battery charger, and then back out and up to the AC unit. All right, so we got our electric box in. I guess I can flip it on. And then we went down through the floor here. Put some wire loom on it so it wouldn't get cut on the body. And then we just ran it up and around to the AC. So we're all wired up. I got my buddy, he's going to bring over some gauges so we can vacuum this out. I'll probably go on the truck now and just fire the APU up and make sure we're getting power and everything's fine before he gets here. And then we'll show you what we got after we vacuum this thing out. Again, don't mind the messy truck. We just got it back from the shop. Let me get my APU started here. We'll see if we get some power running here. My APU takes a minute to start. Boom. We have power. So, comes with this remote. Some of them you can get that are pretty fancy. You can control them with your phone. You can control them over Wi-Fi. Being that it's in the truck and I'll only be using it when it's in the truck. Look at that. This thing opens up on its own. And we'll just do fan. Swing, you can change the swing. Turbo, self-clean, LED. I think you can turn that LED off. Yep. I feel a fan blowing. I don't know if it's trying to do the AC. Mode is on auto, cool, dry, heat, fan. We'll just do fan. So can I turn that fan up like this? I don't like to read directions. Anyways, let me play with this thing. Oh, there goes a 1 PC. 01 PC. I'm not sure what that means. I'm gonna have to look that up. All right, quick update. So PC01 means either the voltage is too high or too low. I checked the voltage and it was right at 115, so I turned it up to 120. It didn't like 120 either, so I turned it down to 110. And so far, so good. And by the way, if you didn't know, you can adjust your voltage. On mine, it's this set screw right here. You just put your meter on. Let me see if I can set this up here. Let me see. You just basically check it with your voltmeter here. Put it on 200. The V with the squiggly line underneath, and then you just touch the 2 leads like that, and see we're right at 110. So it didn't like like I said, it didn't like 120. I bumped it down to 115. It didn't like 115. I figured there was something wrong. I actually ended up calling the company, and before they called me back, I ended up having it figured out. So just waiting on my buddy now to come with the gauges. All right, it is now Saturday afternoon. It's been a few days since I worked on this. So basically what happens is when you order one of these mini splits, you have to have a special connector with your gauge set. Usually it's a 1/4 inch. I think this is 3/8. So you have to buy... Let's see if I can show you guys here. You have to buy this special connector right here, and that reduces it from 3/8 to a 1/4 inch, which is what pretty much all of these gauges come as. So I've vacuumed it down for about 20 minutes now, and we're just keeping an eye on the gauge to make sure that it's not losing vacuum, meaning that we have a leak in the system somewhere. So we've got a couple of more minutes left on that. And then we will, then basically all you do is you open this up, you take these caps off, and there's Allen heads in there, and when you untwist those, that releases the Freon into the system. And then we should be good from there. So, just waiting on that. I did grease the truck yesterday. I ended up hurting my back putting this toolbox on right here, or moving it around myself. Let me see if I can crawl down here without dying. I've kind of been laid up for a few days. I think it was a combination of lifting this box, and I've been doing a lot of work on the Mustang and just getting up and down off the creeper so many times. I end up finishing the exhaust on the Mustang and getting the hood on and all. Maybe I'll show you guys that a little later. But yeah, I've just been in, the first night after I finished building this, I was in some serious pain, so just been kind of trying to take it easy. Little did I know Monday is a holiday, so I don't know if we'll find a load Monday or if it'll have to be Tuesday. I don't know. We're going on 3 weeks now that we haven't worked, and kind of stinks. I'm ready to get on the road and build the bank account back up again. So anyways, I'm gonna give this some more time. We'll see if it holds the vacuum like it's been, and then we'll actually, what they say to do is, after you realize that it's holding the vacuum, they say crack open the Freon for like 5 seconds and then close it, and then basically the blue gauge, the gauge will shoot up and pressurize the system. Then you shut that gauge off, and then you watch that needle again, and you make sure that pressure hasn't dropped, because, you know, 200 pounds of pressure or whatever it'll put into the system will show you a leak more than like -30 vacuum. So that's what we'll end up doing. All right, so what I'm gathering is, now we will pull these off, and I dropped the wrench on my foot. Pull these caps off here. And I dropped the wrench again. Oh my God. What is going on with me? It's been so long. I haven't worked this so long, I don't know how to hold a wrench anymore. All right, we're gonna pull these caps off. And then take our Allen wrench here. I don't know what size it is. Oh man, my battery's gonna die. It's bigger than that. That's what she said. And then let me make sure I'm not messing anything up here. I've got this closed. I've got that closed. Now we're gonna crack this open for 5 seconds and watch this gauge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we'll close that. Closed it right at 100. Now we're gonna set our timer. We'll come back to that. All right, Lita came home. I forgot all about you guys. Don't mind the mess. I'm cleaning out a toolbox. So we went ahead and opened both of those valves, stuck the caps back on. I just started the APU back up. We'll climb back in this truck. Like I said, don't mind the mess. We're still working on stuff. And we'll see what this AC does here. And we've already got a problem with the AC. So I tested it for hours when we were at the house.